Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about my and the Gold Players Marvel Multiverse role-playing game campaign, Season 1, Iron Snow, The Tales of Green Goblin as a hero, which is interesting. All right, so at this point, Green Goblin is in Las Vegas. They landed at the airport, and they are going directly to. There's several funeral homes in Las Vegas, but only two of them have the capacity to receive a celebrity death, which is exactly what um, Elektra's death is. She's been killed by Blade. He slayed her in a very traditional um, samurai katana duel. Cut her from heart to cut her, from the center of the heart straight through, out of the left side of her body, and her body is currently at the funeral home. Right, so first of all, there's just kind of a logic puzzle, a logic roll, right? Rolling 60, not 66, rolling 3d6, right, with the Marvel die in the center, and um, with the Marvel die in the center, and to find which of the two, funeral homes she was at. That he made that roll, and they were able to go directly to the right funeral home. So they get there, and I have a map, right? And guarding the door is just a simple human in black, right? Looks a little bit like a mercenary, strong, fit, wearing black clothes, right outside the funeral home, and he has a suspiciously large backpack, right? And so, Punisher and Green Goblin talk to each other, and they were brought here by Ramon and Ramon's ally in a large van, and Ramon's 1998 Honda CRX, right? And so basically, they arrive, and basically they decide that they're going to they decide that they're going to the plan is for specifically for the for Green Goblin to deal with the guard, and for Punisher to sneak into the back. All right, so that's what they do, and so Punisher sneaks around back and goes in, and Green Goblin just goes up and says, "Hey, I'm just gonna, Norman Osborn goes up. So he is in his regular identity, right? His secret identity. And he just says, "Hey, I'll bribe you," and offers him 10 grand to just move out of the way. And the guy says, "I'm sorry, but you need to move on," right? And at that point, with that failed attempt, Norman Osborn, actually, there's the guard hears Punisher making his move inside, and Norman Osborn then begins to fight. Right, goes to actually punch the guard, and he's not in his Green Goblin costume, but he still has all of his strength and his he has physically better attributes, right? So what ends up happening is the suspiciously large backpack bursts open, and we see something really terrifying. So basically, I bring up the slide of Dr. Octopus, and and the Gold Players are like, "Oh, it's Dr. Octopus." I was like, "No, it's much worse," right? So Dr. Octopus has this incredible set of 8 tentacles, right? And it allows him to climb, it allows him to move very quickly, it allows him to bring out as many as 8 weapons to bring to bear on an opponent, right? And what's really wild is he's built this, and now he could just put it on any mercenary. And the reality is, what he's done is they can actually drop these from helicopters, right? So they're impact reinforced. They could drop these out anywhere, and somebody just puts on the backpack, and you have a mobile Dr. Octopus. And not only it has two ways of being controlled. It can be controlled by AI and go fully independent, or Dr. Octopus can control it remotely, and that's exactly what's happening here. And so Norman Osborn, and so this thing spins around. Two of the legs become legs that they could walk on, that this person can now run on much faster than a human. And then the other six, two of them transform to eyeballs, so that Doc Ock can actually see everything. And then the last four turn into pistols, right? And I shoot Norman Osborn once with my stand-in Dr. Octopus and do 54 points of damage out of 120 with the first shot, right? Now, we had been talking about Green Goblin, right? Now, the problem with Green Goblin is Norman Osborn is a hero in our game, and the gold player is playing him as a hero. But sometimes Green Goblin manifests and actually takes over. So Green Goblin, triggered by this injury, has a green out, and the player character becomes fully my controlled, right? And he simply wakes up, right, 5 minutes later on the way to the airport with Ramon driving the CRX, Green Goblin in the chair. I'm sorry. Green Goblin, who is still Norman Osborn, the Punisher, are in the van that is driven by Ramon's ally, and Ramon is out front doing a full-on Smokey and the Bandit, like distracting police so that they can drive straight to the airport. They have Elektra's body, which Punisher has gotten, and Norman Osborn defeated the automated Otto Octavius, according to Punisher, who said that, because Norman Osborn actually has no recollection of what he did, but barehanded defeated a 4-pistol Dr. Octavius, right? So right now, this Norman Osborn has a real problem in that he has what are called green outs, and the player actually loses control of the player character, and it goes to me, right? But Green Goblin is even more effective as a combatant than Norman Osborn, controlled by the gold player. So we end with Punisher, Norman Osborn going back to New York, and I thought that they would bury Elektra, but they did not bury Elektra. And I thought they would have a nice funeral for Elektra in New York and allow Daredevil and all the people who loved Elektra to celebrate her death, right? Celebrate at her death, not celebrate her death. Celebrate at her funeral, but he did not do that. They buried her in a super secret, super safe location, deep underground in New York City. Way back, where they, in these areas that they had built, like, in the early 1900s, right? And they even protected it with Faraday cages, and so the location is secure, and that did kind of surprise me. So that was episode 2 of Iron Snow. Thank you very much for letting me share it with you. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion on Iron Snow campaign. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing and have a fetch millennium.